Hey everyone, how's it going? Forrest here again with another installment of my complete analysis of all 389 Bach chorales. Today we're looking at Schmucke dich, o liebe Seele, which roughly translates to Deck thyself, my soul, with gladness. That's more of like an old English translation. I've seen some other ones that suggest it means adorn my soul with gladness. Either way, it's about being glad, I suppose. This is the first chorale that we've seen, I think, in the key of E flat major, which I can actually just go ahead and write there. Because, that's the first thing I tend to do with the chorales that I analyze, or really when I do harmonic analysis of tonal music, I look at the starting and ending chords and see if they agree with the key signature. And if they don't, then we have an interesting talking point. And if they do, well, then we just analyze it. We just call the key like it is. So yeah, we are in the key of E flat major. Our first cadence is an imperfect authentic cadence. It's pretty interesting. I'm not sure you've looked at a chorale yet that starts off with an imperfect authentic cadence, but the structure is imperfect authentic cadence followed by perfect authentic cadence. So we have an E flat, a B flat, an E flat, and a G. Like I said earlier as well, we start on an E flat major chord, and then we transition very quickly to a 5 chord in root position with a passing 7th in the tenor. That's just a B flat major triad. And then we have C, G, C, and E flat. Instead of 5 going back to 1, it goes to 6. 6 is a substitute for 1. They share 2 common tones because they're a third apart. And then we have D, F, B flat, and F. That is a 5 chord, but in first inversion, it's B flat over D. And then we have E flat, B flat, and G. It's a root position 1 chord. As we know, 5, 6 usually goes to 1. We have 2 passing tones. We have passing tone in the soprano and passing tone in the tenor. And then we have G, G, E, and B flat. It's another 1 chord, but the chord's been inverted as the bass drops down a major 6th. Then we have another passing tone in the bass here. Lots of activity going on in the voices. And then we have B flat, F, E flat, and A. There's some counterpoint going on here. Really what's going on is that this is a big 5-7 with a 4-3 suspension being introduced in the alto, because it really is just 5-7 going to 1. That's all it is. Pretty straightforward cadence. However, instead of getting E flat, we get G. That's what makes it imperfect authentic rather than perfect authentic. Alright, we still stay in the key of E flat major until the end of the phrase. We move to a first inversion B flat major triad, so B flat over D. And then we get E flat, B flat, E flat, and G. That's just a root position 1 chord. Again, we get 5, 6 going to 1. That's a pretty common progression, dominant to tonic. We then get C, C, E flat, and A flat. That is a 4 chord in first inversion, A flat major, passing tone in the bass. And then we have E flat, B flat, E flat, and G flat. That's just a root position 1 chord. Lots of root position 1 chords so far. We've only seen it inverted once. We can have this alternation going on 1, 5, 1, 4, 1. Passing tones in the upper voices, alto and tenor, alto and soprano. And then we have A flat, C, C, and E flat. This is a root position 4 chord, just an A flat major triad. And then we get a passing, when I say 7th, a passing 7 chord. I'm just going to mark them. I'm going to mark them as passing tones because it happens in a very fleeting fashion. But when you have passing tones from a 4 chord going up, you turn it into a 7 chord. And then we have G, B flat, E flat, and G. As soon as I say we haven't seen too many inverted 1 chords, we get a inverted 1 chord. Go figure. B flat, E flat, and F. I think that this is the same thing that's happening before. We have a 4-3 suspension going on right here, and really all this is a big 5-7. When I say a big 5-7, I mean it's happening over 2 beats and there's some counterpoint going on, and we get a root position E flat major chord. Okay, looking ahead, we have a cadence right here. My chorale formatted it so we didn't get the cadence at the end of the bar. I know that's against my formatting. It's like ending a sentence with 1 word on the next line. If you have to do it, I suppose, but there was no reason I couldn't move this to the first system. That's just something I'm cognizant of when I format my scores. But we are modulating to B flat major, as this B flat major cadence right here sounds like a perfect authentic cadence, so I'm going to analyze it as such. I think there might be an argument to be made here that it is in fact a half cadence, but you know, like I said, so long as you're consistent with your analysis and it makes sense, that's really all that matters. So we have E flat, G, and B, just another one chord where the voices rotate. And here we get D, A, F, and C. That is a 7 chord, because D diminished. It's a diminished 7th, but more specifically it's half diminished, with a passing tone right there in the tenor. Then we get C, C, E flat, and E flat. That's a 6 chord. We get like a descending progression, 1, 7, 6, passing tones in the bass and alto. E flat, C, G, and E flat. That is a 6 chord again, but this time it's been inverted once. We get a passing tone in the bass. Then we have G, B flat, G, and D. That is a 3 chord. 6 wants to go to 3 wants to go to 6, so I guess 6 could also go to 3 in the opposite direction. But I think this is the point in which we modulate. We could have modulated earlier. I think there's an argument to be made for C minor being a modulation point, but this is where I put it, 3, and we reanalyze that in the key of B flat as a 6 chord, because G is the submediant in the key of B flat. We have some passing tones going on as well in the tenor and the soprano. And then we have G. It's the same thing, no need to reanalyze the chord. We have a little bit of a delayed passing tone there, some counterpoint. Then we have E flat, B flat, G, and C. Now we have a C minor chord, so that would be a 2 chord in the key of B flat major, but it is a 7th chord in first inversion, so we have to add the figured bass there. That's 2, 6, 5. Then we have F, A flat, F, and C, or sorry, not A flat, A natural. That makes more sense because the A natural is what hints us that we are in the key of B flat major. This is just a 5 chord with a passing 7th in the alto. And then we cadence. I hate the cadence being here on the first beat. That peeves me probably more than it peeves you. But if you were reading this and then you came to a cadence, you'd really have to rely purely on the conductor. And if that's something that you can do, that's great. But personally, I rely more on the music especially when I'm singing. And then we cadence on 1. And it's a perfect authentic cadence, 5 to 1. Tonic is in the soprano. Okay, so this is probably the most interesting harmonic part of the harmony in this chorale. Right here, if we do just a quick chordal analysis, we have E flat, so E flat, G, E flat, B flat, and that's perfectly fine. That's a 1 chord, but we get an A flat here. And if we're in the key of B flat, how could we get an A flat? Well, you might be thinking, well, Forrest, we probably just modulated back to E flat, which I think we did. But if you look ahead to the next cadence, we actually get a perfect authentic cadence in the key of B flat again. So what I think is happening is that we're actually sort of getting a repeat of what's happening here. Not an exact repeat, but we're getting, look how the melody functions. We get very similar, in fact, it's actually identical. We get B flat, C, D, E flat, D, C, B flat, C, C, B. It's the same phrase again. And if we see how the phrase started, it started in the key of E flat and then moved to B flat. So I think this is another instance of mid-phrase modulation. So just for the sake of doing it because I can, we're going to say the modulation happens with this B flat right here being a common chord. We're just going to call it a 5. We could easily call this E flat here 4 and then call that 1 in the new key. But we're just going to go like this. We're going to go 5, 1. Then we go to the A flat. And now the A flat in the key of E flat is 4 and it's in root position, so we can just avoid figured bass. And then we have a 1 chord. A 1 chord in the key of E flat. So it's 1 or 5, 1, 4, 1. 6, right? Because this is an E flat triad happening on this beat right here. G, B flat, G, and then E flat. with some passing tones going on in the inner voices, or sorry, the lower voices, not the inner voices, only one of the inner voices. And then right here we get the same chord again, just by the nature of the fact that there's like parallel motion going on in the lower voices. And this is where we get the modulation back to B flat major. And we could reanalyze this 1-6 as 4-6 because E flat is no longer the tonic, it is the subdominant. Yeah, these mid-phrase modulations, I think this just comes from the fact that he's repeating the phrase twice. So, of course, we're thinking in the key of E flat, and our analysis should reflect that. Whether or not we've modulated back via a common chord, or whether we've modulated back via direct modulation, I think there's an argument to be made for both. But I tend to analyze my modulations as common chords, especially with Bach. But there have been direct modulations that aren't analyzable with a common chord. So that's really the big takeaway. So we have a 4-6 here. Passing tones continue. We have very active lower voices. And then we have 1 again in root position. Passing tones in the lower voices. A 1 here, remember, is now B flat, D, F, and D. A 1 chord in root position where the third is doubled. That's interesting. And then we get another inversion. D flat, F, F, B flat. Then we have all 4 of the voices moving, so let's actually take note of what chord's happening here. E flat, B flat, G, and C. That's like a very brief 2, 6, 5, and I'll put that in parentheses because it's a very short moment. So whether or not the chord is significant to the chorale, I really think the fact that it's voice leading that's driving this more so than like a harmonic progression. Like the chord does not have as much harmonically rhythmic weight. And then we have F, B flat, F, C. So this B flat right here I think is a suspension, and really what's happening here is a big 5-7. I've been using the term big 5-7 to describe the fact that there's counterpoint, like another 4-3 suspension going on here, with counterpoint going on in the inner voices. Yeah, it's pretty much only going on in the inner voices, but if you look, the lower voices have the same rhythm, but the alto has a very active line, and the soprano has the slowest of the lines. And then we have a 1 chord. Perfect authentic cadence. Okay, so for the rest of the chorale, we transition back to the key of E flat major. We have a half cadence, which is interesting because, we have another cadence on B flat, but if you look here, there's no chromaticism. And if we were going to have anything that was not a half cadence in E flat major, which would explain the B flat being the cadential chord here, there would have to be A naturals in order for me to justifiably continue analyzing this in the key of B flat major. So I think we modulate back to E flat here, right after the cadence, this B flat, which is just the bass leaping up an octave and the soprano leaping down to F. That's our common chord. It's now our dominant, no longer our tonic. And then we get A, B flat, E flat, G. So A, I think, is an accented nod chord tone. It's really this G right here. We want G, B flat, E flat, G, which would turn this into a 1-6 chord, right? An E flat over G, which is our tonic. And then we have F, A, D, A flat, F, A flat, D, and A flat. That is a D diminished triad in first inversion, so D diminished. Passing tones in the inner voices, E, F, A, and A. I think this E, again, is an accented non-chord tone, and really what's happening is this chord is turning from first inversion to root position, so the chord's just being respelled. So they're getting some vocal exchange. We're getting an F here and an F here. And then we get a 1 chord in root position, E flat, B flat, E flat, and G, so that's just a 1 chord. And then we get, these aren't non-chord tones, we get embellishments that belong to the chord, A flat, C, F, and A. That would be a 2 chord in first inversion, right? Because A flat is the third of the chord and F is our root. Passing 7th in the alto, and a passing tone in the soprano. And then we have B flat, D, D, and F. That is a 5 chord. The third is doubled even though it's in root position. And then we get the same chord again. It's just respelled and we get a little activity here. But it's really just a 2, 5, and then we end on 5. And that's why it's a half cadence. It ends on 5, and we're playing with an E flat major scale. There's no A naturals here, so B flat no longer feels like the tonic, it feels like the dominant. Like if you just try to hum the tonic along with the chorale at the beginning, you can hear that the tonic changes even though the same chord is the end of the phrase. And then we go from 5 immediately to a G minor triad, which is just a 3 chord. And then we have C, B flat, E, and G. That is a C7 chord, and I said E, I meant E flat. This is a 2-7 chord in root position. Okay, then we have F, A flat, E flat, and A. I think this E is a suspension. That would be a 7-6 suspension, and this would be a 7-6 chord. A 7-6 suspension over a 7-6 chord. Pretty cool, Bach, pretty cool. It's like a pun. G, B flat, E flat, G, passing tones in the upper voices. That is a 1-6 chord. E flat over G. A flat, C, C, E flat, again with these passing tones that turn it into a 7 chord. It's just a 4 chord in root position. Then we get G, B flat, E flat, G. Another 1-6 chord. I talked about, there are no first inversion tonic chords. There's so few of them in the first section, but go figure. Now we get mostly, actually, we get a pretty good distribution. I'd say it's about 50-50. Passing tone in the bass, and then we get B flat, E, and F. This is just a big 5-7. Really no reason to complicate things. You know, we have a 4-3 suspension going on here where B flat, it's a E flat over the B flat in the alto, again, which has been given the role of the suspended tone. It's been popular, Bach's used the alto primarily for that. And then we get a 1 chord. Perfect authentic cadence to end the chorale. We usually get perfect authentic cadences. Sometimes we get half cadences, but most of the time they're perfect authentic. So there we have it. This chorale was pretty quaint to look at. I'm going to put it in my back pocket. This is one of those ones that pretty analyzable. And to be honest, it's one of the first chorales we've seen that has no secondary dominance, which is really interesting because there might be a couple of places that pop up depending on how you go about analyzing it and where your modulations occur, where you could call it where you could, analyze something as secondary dominance, but there's not a single instance of secondary dominance. We get a modulation and we get diatonic harmony, which is really cool, and that's always nice to see because if you take a university course or a conservatory course and you are taking harmony and you are writing chorales or you're analyzing chorales, diatonic harmony is much slower paced than chromatic harmony. Once you start introducing chromaticism, you start being able to look at full real-world examples as opposed to just small excerpts that show that you can see progressions in the key. But here's a whole chorale that pretty much does that same thing. We get a modulation to B flat, but it stays in 2 keys, and we don't use any chromatic tones outside of the key that we're in, and that's pretty neat. And the melody's really easy to sing, and it's also an E flat, which is really cool. Lots of really interesting tidbits about this chorale. But regardless, thanks for watching. Today's my birthday, so I'm really excited to release this video on my birthday, and also to have a pretty easy chorale to analyze on my birthday. Makes it quick, so I'm able to do other things throughout the day. So that being said, thanks for watching the video. Looking forward to tomorrow's analysis. Take care.